I'll start recording. So yeah, go to your Kali Linux. And if you remember on Wednesday, we played a little bit with Legion. We run some scans and stuff on it. And I was seeing that the CVEs are not populating. I tried to do a little bit of research on that, why the CVEs, watching all the instructionals on it, they just populate automatically. So we're not getting anything on Legion, but we did get some nice scan information. It told us, the computers that it found, the port numbers that were open, did some banner grabs and stuff. It does have the capability to do some brute forcing. So that is one of the tools that hackers would have available to them, or good guys. I mean, it was designed for the good people to do some scanning and see, what is our network giving up if a bad person scanned it. And then you could attempt to do some penetration testing on it to see just how easily somebody can break into the system. But we're missing the CVEs, and that's or it goes in and scans the computer and tells you what vulnerabilities might be present on that computer. And I said that there was a tool that we've used in the past called OpenVAS. It's a offshoot or a clone of Nessus, a commercial tool. And I want to go ahead and use it. It's quite a bit to get set up, and it does have some problems with only allowing one IP address to sync the definitions at a time. I think I may have found a workaround for that. I set up a single machine and I zip compressed all of the folders that had the signature updates in it. So we can install the program, download and extract the signatures, and see if we can run a sync and get it set up. It'll probably take about the entire class period to do it. And you'll need to go ahead and close out of Legion if you have it on your screen. And we'll use Bethany as an example. So she better do everything right here on screen. And close out of any of your terminal windows. And then open up a new terminal window. Once you've closed down all your existing terminal windows, open up a new fresh terminal window. Make sure that it shows the pound sign up there. If not, you'll need the SU minus to switch over to the root account.
My computer's taking forever to connect to mine.
What number are you connecting to?
14.
14, okay.
I'm trying to.
Let me know if sometimes you have to hit cancel and then tell it to reconnect. You give it about 60 seconds. And if it hasn't connected, you hit the little cancel and then you click to reconnect. Make sure when you're connecting that I think I logged out. That you're using the desktop and not the web light client.
Yeah, it finally took it. Okay. I'm in there now.
Okay, so some of the commands to type in, I think we've already updated these Kali Linux to the very latest version. So if you type apt auto remove, it will remove old stale programs. Because once we did a fairly major update, there's some old programs, especially Python 2. Python 2 is no longer supported, and they're trying to remove those from the system. So go ahead and hit yes on that when it comes up. It should want to remove 300 something meg or so when you type that into your system. not really required, but it just does some housekeeping and cleanup on our Kali after we've upgraded from 2020.2 to 2020.3 version. Once auto remove is complete and you get your prompt back, then you can just type clear. And that way I can see on the screen that y'all have got that done. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to install OpenVAS onto the system. And that would be an apt install OpenVAS. And you just hit enter and it'll ask you a yes or no question. Do you want to install? And you would click yes, that you want to install all of those extra tools. So Ricky, yours is having an issue. It looks like I'm going to take over your machine. It looks like it's trying to go to a non-secure site. So we've had to put an S into our source list. Let's see if that changes anything. On your system. It looks like it did. If anybody else is having trouble with Kali Linux and it downloading stuff, so that's only if you're like having issues with downloading. As you see, you should get to the prompt. It'll say this may take some time, done when OpenVAS is installed. And at that point, go ahead and clear your screen again. That way I can kind of look at all of y'all's computers and see that you've caught up. But this right here, this little text, I'd read some blog posts and stuff. We had some trouble with getting Callie to update it. Kept saying an address was forbidden. It wasn't trusted. And that was because it was wanting it to be an HTTPS download instead of an HTTP. So that was that little simple fix. I'm going to move that down towards the end of my screen so I have the commands here. I could number them too. So step 4, we're going to want to change into the directory where that OpenVAS keeps all of its signature files for scanning for vulnerabilities. So you'll need to change directory into var lib gv. Hit tab at gv. I think it's gvm. Yeah, gvm. So go ahead and change into that directory. As you see Bethany's screen, it should show you that your prompt changed to var lib gvm directory. And if you wanted, you can type ls and see what's in there, just to take a quick cursory look and then clear your screen after you do that. You see that there are several folders in there. The next task is we're going to download the signatures that I collected yesterday. There's a little over a gig of them. It did compress down to a 70 meg file. So when we're in this folder, the var lib gvm folder, we'll download from the internet. So we'll do a wget command. And we'll go to https :// and I'll put it on CSNT. It's real easy to get the S and N transposed. CSNT web dot asub.edu / nvd.tar.gz, and I'm about 90% sure. Yeah, I'm 100% sure it's NVD, not NVE. Yeah, nvd.tar.gz. That's the name I created. Once you get that typed in, go ahead and hit enter, and it should download. Let me show you on Bethany's screen. You should have a little progress bar, and it should download about 70 megabytes. She's at 30, 40, 50 meg, 60 meg. It's about at 70. It should finish at 70 meg. So that is the output. If you've got some type of error or didn't get the progress bar, you've typed something wrong in the path statement for downloading it. Use your up arrow key and check every letter to get it downloaded. And again, once you've got it downloaded, go ahead and clear the screen. That way I can see that y'all have downloaded it. Cool. Looks like we're all up to speed. Okay, now number 6, we're going to extract this file. Y'all should know how to extract it. That was part of your final and operating systems class. Do you know what command I would type? Anybody?
Gunzip.
No. because it's a tar archive, which means that there are multiple files in it. But gunzip was a good guess because you did see GZ. That would extract it out to just tar, but tar has tape archive, meaning there's multiple files.
Oh,
So that's going to be the tar command. So what switch do I need for GZ, for extracting GZ? Remember the letter? No? Z. Z is to run the tar command through the gzip protocol. I want to extract all of the files inside of this compressed tar archive. Do you know what letter it is for extraction? Again, I'm hearing silence. X.
that's what I was going to say. Eggs, yeah.
Yeah. C is for creation. So if I was doing the reverse, if I was creating an archive, I would put C there instead of X. But so X is for creation. If you want to see the files that are being extracted, you have the option of putting V for verbose, meaning it's going to just dump everything to the screen, but that V is optional. The Z is required because it is GZ compressed. If it was BZ2 compressed, you would put a J. And then we have another switch, F. What follows the switch F is the file name to extract. So that is required with tar. At least Z, X, and F are required. V is optional again, and then F always has to be at the last because F has to have something added to it. F has to have the file name to extract. And again, you can probably just type NV and hit tab and it would complete the file name for you. We're going to tar archive. We're going to run it through the gzip protocol. And what are we doing? We're extracting it. So that means we've got to uncompress and extract the files with gzip. And it's going to be file name NVD. Go ahead and hit enter and you'll see all the stuff dump out to the screen. Lots of files and folders. So just for a reminder, these commands are really useful. We didn't just teach them in operating systems for nothing, for busy work. But as an example, what I did to create that file, I did that command to create that file in that same folder because I had OpenVAS set up and I run the sync and it ran for about an hour and a half or two hours, maybe longer than that. I was up here at about 5:40, 5:45 getting that synced. So I went to this folder varlib gvm and I ran tar zc vf. I typed the file name that I wanted it to, followed by the asterisk. So the C meant create, and the asterisk right here was like everything in that GVM folder I wanted to compress and put into that file name. So that's very common in the Linux, Unix world. Most virtual machines up in the Azure cloud are running Linux. So remembering stuff like this, good to remember. Okay, so you can go and clear your screen. That way I can see if everybody's caught up. I think it looks like everybody extracted and caught up. Looked pretty good. Now the next step, if you're trying to read directions online, I've seen everybody like describing how to set up OpenVAS, and they just run like an OpenVAS setup, but that doesn't work with our version of Kali. Our version of Kali comes with a green phone. It's a web graphical front interface for it. And they have GVM dash setup. And this is the command that I hope will run correctly, because the site only allows one IP to sync at a time. So I don't know if this is going to work for one person in the class and blow up for everybody else. We're going to go ahead and enter and see what happens, and we may just completely die. But what it's doing now, it is scanning, and it has found that we extracted all of those files in the GVM folder. So it's importing those into a PostgreSQL database. So you're watching the numbers there thinking, oh, cool. It's counting down though. It's not counting up. It's got 3,000 left.
And mine's not doing what yours is doing.
You tap setup, not start, right? Hit your up arrow key. Who's am I looking at? Computer, who's on 9? Yeah, hit your up arrow key. Let me see what you set up. Okay, huh. Well, leave yours right there. That's actually, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, mine's doing the same thing.
Yep. So what's apparently happened on y'all is, again, the server only allows so many people to connect to it at one time. It looks like Bethany's is the only one that actually got hers entered first, and everybody else has run into a timeout. So you're going to sit at that screen. So if you're stuck at this screen, which most of the rest of the class is, you see where it created the user password for administrator?
Yeah.
Okay, so I need you to memorize that. Okay, I'm kind
Sure.
of joking, but not really. So what I need you to do is highlight that password with your mouse. Don't get the single quotes. So kind of be careful and try to just get the, without the, there you go. So do you see how Riley, I think I'm on Riley's, or James. So once you get it highlighted like that, I want you to type echo at the screen, ECHO, echo. No, E, echo, space. And then you'll click your center scroll wheel to paste that password there. And then you'll put a space. And use a greater than symbol. That's less than. Not greater than. Then you put a space. Type in AD. Hit tab. And I've already got a file in there called admin.pass.txt. That will save that password in case that you lose it in the future. Go ahead and hit enter. And that copies the password into the text file. That way, if anything happens, if we accidentally clear the screen at this time, or we try to redo the setup or anything like that, we've got it saved into a text file, because that is the user account password, and we will have to, right now it's saved in your mouse buffer. So don't highlight anything else while we're waiting on Bethany's machine to come up. Actually on her machine, we'll just, we're counting down. Yeah, hers is counting down, 19,000 or something else. Hers is going to probably run for an hour.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's several different folders that it runs through. So I'm thinking yours is probably scanning for files to update. So I'm kind of, we'll go back and look at James here. Did everybody get their password saved?
Yes.
What was the command after the greater sign thing?
Just type in AD and hit tab, and it should spell out admin pass.txt. Yep. Now we're on Riley's screen watching him. So we're going to experiment with the rest of us that weren't able to connect and sync. We're going to experiment and hope that we can start up OpenVAS and that all of these here will, that we imported manually, will work. So at this screen, I want you to type in GVM start. The top GVM dash start. And hit enter. May should have just let one person do that instead of everybody, but in case it explodes and catches the building on fire. So when you type it, it should bring up a web browser. However, I have found that I sometimes had to type it once and then type it a second time. And the second time that it was ran would sometimes start it up. But since we weren't able to sync with the main system, it may not work for us. So that's all running. It worked for yours? Okay, so Riley, just hit the up arrow key and hit enter again. There we go. Now it's going. You have, what was yours, 3 times?
Twice.
Twice? Okay. So I did have to run into that into mine. I'm just really hoping that my little hack of dumping all those files will actually have all of those signatures so we can scan. And as we sit here and wait, we should notice it says opening web UI. That means the web user interface. It's 92 or 93. 92 is the port number. It should just bring up a web browser. I'm kind of concerned, Riley, on why yours isn't brought up a web browser yet. You can manually just go under the menu and open up a browser window. And you can type in that HTTPS and then colon / that 127.0.0.1. Colon is 9392. Hit enter and see if it should take you to that. Cool.
Okay.
Let's see, Bethany. Yeah, it'll like time out on you. You can log back in. That was just screensaver. Click back on. Yours is still chunking away at more stuff. I said yours is probably going to take an hour to finish. So if everybody else's work, I may not do the setup next time. I may just do the start and see if that works. Okay, so looking at Riley's, he had to manually type in his HTTPS and localhost colon 90, 93, 92, and he comes up a security warning. It's because it's using a self-signed certificate, not one that's commercially signed by a third party. So the browser's like, I don't know if this is safe or not. Well, yeah, it's safe. We set it up. So you need to click the advanced button on this screen. And you'll scroll down. And there'll be accept the risk and continue button that you can click. It should take you to a login page. The login page is where you'll center click on the password field. And it should paste that big long password that you had highlighted earlier. And in the username, it's admin, all lowercase. And when you click login, it'll give you the option to save the password. You definitely want to save the password when it successfully logs in. You had to center click or scroll wheel to paste it because it was that big long password. And that will bring you into log you into the interface. If at any time you lost your password, then it's easy to bring up the password again. Or that you would change back into the var lib GVM folder. I mean, I'm already there and I could concatenate the admin password text file and I could highlight it and paste that back in. That's why I wanted to store it into that text file so I could refer to it. But I've already set this up in Firefox where I've already saved it. If you notice, it's already typed into mine. So I'll click login. Let's check yours out. Login failed, invalid password. Okay, so you would have to go Oh, you've got that highlighted, the whole command. Need just the password highlighted. Yep. Now go back to delete all of that. Oop, that highlighted. Delete all of that and then go back and highlight it again. The other, you have to blank that out first. Okay, now go back in there and then left click and then highlight it again. Now don't just left click somewhere so it unhighlights it. Now re-highlight it. Okay, now go to the browser and center click down there and log in. Okay, now save it. Well, that was very interesting. Bethany's is going out and still sinking. She's up to 2017 now. I don't know if that's counting upwards or downwards. So I guess it's doing that for, yeah, there's 2018. I don't know exactly how many different ones, but there's multiple folders or certificate folders. And when you type in LS and you see in each of those folders, each one of them has a plethora of files that it has to go through and scan in and check all of them. Okay, so looking at this page, as I scroll down, this is what I'm concerned that I'm not seeing on other people. I've got 62,000 NVTs scanned into the system. And that may be because it's not doing what Bethany's is doing and going through and importing all of those. Let me take control of Riley's computer. So that's 2 days old. I click on it. Go back to dashboard and see if that changed. I'm thinking it just because it didn't go through the whole entire setup. I think we're good. I think. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take about a 15-minute break and see if Bethany's can get caught up. And then we're going to move forward with creating a scan. And we'll scan one host for right now. And it may be next week before we open up a scan and do a range of computers to scan for CVEs. We're going to scan a Windows server machine with it. But I'm going to pause recording. Okay, so I'm going to log back into my system here. Green Bone Assistant. So it loads up, and we can do some scans and stuff. There's dashboards show us trending of CVEs over the decades. How many's there's a lot. That one, April 15th, 2017 there. But in here, we can go under scans, and it provides us with a drop down and lets us run a task. Maybe I just want to click scans itself. Let me just click scans itself instead of clicking task. The interface is a little bit updated from version 8. What I'm trying to get to is the task wizard. So there's a little wand right here, as you see it, and you can launch tasks. It said the host muted everyone. I didn't mute everyone. That's some type of weird stuff go on. Okay, can y'all see my screen again?
Yes.
Okay, that's some odd stuff. Maybe there's a little timeout that went on. Okay, am I recording? Yeah, still recording. Alrighty. So I've clicked on scans. I'm going to go under the wand and click task wizard. It comes up, and I missed the little Hermione Granger sitting there. That was the main icon. That Hermione Granger from Hogwarts as the wizard. So I have a quick start. You want to immediately scan an IP address, and they've already got a bunch of pre configuration settings done, so that we can just directly scan an IP. Well, let's not scan ourselves. Let's scan another computer. Scan a domain controller at 10.10.1.10. Read the rest of this dialog box. When we click start scan, as soon as the scan progress is beyond 1%, you can already jump to the scan report by clicking on the progress bar in the status column and review the results collected so far. The target and task will be created using defaults as configured in My Settings. You can create new tasks yourself by clicking the paper wizard. So let's go ahead and start scan and see what a default scan will reveal. So as it loads up, we notice down in the bottom, we have a task that has now been requested to run. Some of y'all's is turning red really quick. So that could be, so did Bethany's. Why is mine different? Let's go look and see. We all errored out.
Is it because we're all scanning the same IP?
I don't think so. But Bethany's did a complete update on hers, and hers errored out too. I'm going to take control of Bethany's machine here. I'm going to click this last report. Everybody should have a last report in your list. So we click on it. The report should, I'm hoping, tell us what the error was. So there's an error message column stating the VTS list is empty. I'm going to pause the, let me go back here to resume recording. So this is what the scanner looks like if it's fully updated. Like I said, our problem is we can only update one computer at a time for this. But once the scan's complete, you click on one of the links here for the task or the scan type, and it'll bring up the results or the report for that scan or the computer. Three of 30 results, it says. I'll click to load the report up and see what type of issues that it could possibly find on that computer. Okay, so it took a little bit of time. Once it loaded up, we've got the CVE and the severity. We don't have anything up in the 9s. That's good for this system. We got some medium levels. We got some timestamps down there. Weak cipher suite was reported to be supported. And we're able to enumerate on port 135. 3389, that is remote desktop protocol. So each one of these you can just click on and get more detail about it. So summary, why is this considered a security issue? It is a low security issue though. 2.6 is really low, but remote host implements TCP timestamps and therefore allows compute uptime. So it checked out the packet stuff and it said that you can determine how long that the server has been running. To disable timestamps in Windows, you can type in, they actually tell you the command to help remediate your system or to mitigate timestamping. And another note, starting with Windows Server 2008 and Vista, the timestamp cannot be completely disabled. We're running later than 2008 in Vista, so I don't know that right there would mitigate anything at all. But it is low. I mean, all a hacker can do is figure out that your computer's been up for like 14 days or 30 days or something like that. So I click on the other reports here. And this is port 3389. So it accepted MD5 and SHA, RC4 with 128-bit encryption. So yes, those are, so it tried TLS version 1, 1.1, and 1.2. They've actually got 1.3 out now, the very latest and greatest. But they tried all of those, and it says, yeah, we're still accepting old encryption. People running around on the roof. It's scary. Hope they don't fall through. Any RSA that's 124 bits or less is considered to be insecure. Any cipher suite that is considered to be, so what we're at medium. Okay, so let's read about here. So RC4 is considered weak. Anything that's 64-bit or less is considered weak. 124 bits or less is considered weak. And any cipher suite to be secure for only the next 10 years, thought to be secure for the next 10 years, considered medium. Okay, that's scary. Beating on the roof. Not really scary, but. And then the last one. What did we find out here? Microsoft RPC services. So we're able to figure out what RPC service is. We figure out event log is running. I'd have to research that. User manager. Command line interface looks like is running. Proxy manager. So all that stuff, net logon service. So it enumerated all of that. That it found out what's running on the system. So what's the problem with that? Attackers may gain more knowledge than you want to about the particular host. So with that information, what would we need to do? Well, if what was reported, we could determine that that is a domain controller, and we would need to make sure that we had that system protected, behind a firewall, where the people from the internet couldn't scan. Because you got to have some type of vulnerable system to be able to use it. The only truly non-vulnerable system is one that's locked away in a closet that doesn't have any power going to it and no network cable. And then you've run it through a shredder, so it's in thousands of pieces. Then that's a secure system. But at this point, that's the domain controller. It lets us know that, hey, there's some stuff out here that's accessible, and we would have to just make sure that we continue to keep the system up to date, keep the right firewalls, what networks can communicate with it or not. I'm going to click on some of these other tabs. I see Riley's is still updating. So Windows operating system, Server 2016. A couple of ports were found open. Tells me my build number of the Windows. And weak ciphers were reported. So I'm going to remote desktop into that system. And let's look at it. I'm the good guy, so I know the username and password. So you remember from LAN class, server core. What do you run on server core? Sconfig, right?
Yes.
So what I was checking was that option right there, because 3389 is the port that it said it was accepting weak ciphers on. And I was wanting to make sure that well, that's nice. Maybe that's why it's accepting weak ciphers, because it hasn't had a Windows update and a restart in a while. Could be. Very, very interesting. We'll lose internet though if I restart it right now. But this may be an interesting for me to do that. Actually, no, we won't lose internet because we're not using those VMs that use this server. I'm gonna go and tell it to restart. It logged me out. So that definitely could be, it's probably just Microsoft being backward compatible though, most likely. But you can click on any of these CVs and read more about them to figure out if there's a way to fix the problem. Allows man in the middle attack. And as I scroll down, I have all these companies that are affected by the CV that have products that are affected by it. Apple, Red Hat, Mozilla, Oracle. Those are probably Microsoft numbers, maybe. I figured it'd say Microsoft on there. Advisories from different companies. Let me do a Control F here and see if I can type in Microsoft. So this is on a Microsoft server. I tried to type in Microsoft. Microsoft does not have a knowledge base article on this particular CVE. Is that a good thing? Does it mean we're safe? Microsoft doesn't have anything written that they're vulnerable to this? That's a big, we're not totally sure. Leads us back to one of my historical things, like Mr. Goodman teaching us old stuff. Now, way back in the day, I had a Microsoft server, and it was running Active Directory, and it had DNS running on it. And somebody hacked the machine and installed some tools so people could download. They were like uploading music and movies and stuff so people could download it. So we shut the system down, tried to virus scan, clean everything off, get all the hack tools off of it, rebuild it, start the thing back up, and it happened again very quickly. They took it right back over. So next time we shut it down, we reinstalled the server, reset up everything with the latest patches and security. We copied the data files and stuff over to the new install of it. Got it all working again, put it back on the network, and it was hacked within a few more days. Even put on a firewall and blocked, some of the ports that we weren't going to need for the outside world, because we were actually having students at that time access the server from home. So there were some ports that needed to be open on it. And it was hacked again. So at that point in time, we finally shut it off and stopped allowing students remote access, rebuilt it and got it back up and going. And it wasn't hacked from that point on after we completely blocked outside access to it. 5 months later, after that happened, Microsoft put out a notice that they were informed 6 months prior about a DNS manager buffer overflow exploit, or that if you sent crafted packets to a system running DNS server and also running the DNS manager on it, that they would be able to possibly take control of the system. And they said, we don't think this is very severe because nobody's actively hacking it at this time. We'll have a patch sometime in the future. I think they had a patch like the next month on it. But I went back and looked at the log files that were collected on it and seen that the errors and stuff that were happening during the time that the thing got hacked dealt with DNS. So 5 months prior to Microsoft alerting anybody, and they knew about that like a month before that I got hacked. They knew there was an exploit, and they didn't let anybody know for over 6 months. So looking through here and seeing that there's not an advisory from Microsoft about their product does not necessarily mean that a Microsoft product is safe. So the Windows remote desktop protocol service could definitely be vulnerable to this CVE. So that's just a warning. Oh, I'll go back to scans. Somehow got away from my report. Riley, did yours finish?
Yeah, just finished.
Okay, cool. And now you're rescanning. What
Yeah.
I don't know if we can get it completely updated by Monday or not. This will require y'all like logging in random times during the weekend and trying to run the update command. If you just do, let's pick on somebody else, Ricky. I'm going to pick Ricky, but I'm thinking some other people maybe. So on Ricky's machine, if you run the GVM feed update and hit enter, it will go out and should scan and update everything. But again, only one person at a time can do that. So if anybody is willing to log into their Kali Linux and do the GVM feed updates. So we've got Riley's is working, Bethany's, hers is working, mine's working, Ricky's will work. But anybody else on the system, if y'all want to try to run that feed at random times throughout the weekend and see if it'll run, and maybe somebody else isn't on the system trying to run it, then it will get this updated. I want to do a few more scans. We may actually wait until Wednesday. I don't know, I've got some.
Mine still airs out every time I go to scan.
Yeah, that's because, wait, who's airing out? Riley?
Riley.
Yeah. Wait, did we update your feed? Yours updated, didn't it?
Yeah, we did the update on it.
Hey, let me look
Or
at
you did.
feed status. So we do have NVEs. Let me click on it. See, Bethany's also aired out for a while. It could be that they're still doing some processes in the background after the feed updated. Because hers was like this for a while, and then all of a sudden it came in. I ran something slightly different on yours though. I ran that command instead of the GV feed update. GVM feed update. So that may be what has to be ran later on if this doesn't populate. So like if you log on later on tonight or tomorrow, something like that, there's not thousands of NVTs listed on the green bone, you may need to run this GV feed update.
Okay.
Because there's 3 different certs and stuff that updates. Let's see, Ricky's going through that big long. Like I said, it takes about an hour to run through, and I'm going to have afternoon class people wanting to do the same thing. But that is probably one of our best scanners, and it's got a nice web interface. I wish Legion would have worked, but it didn't fill out the CVEs. But I know this OpenVAS system, as you've seen, it does scan and do CVEs. I want to show a little bit more on how to use this product, where if you go in and add in a username and password into the scan, then it can actually authenticate into the computer system you're scanning and find possibly more exact vulnerabilities other than just doing a passive or an outside scan on the system. So yeah, we're at the end of class, and This will be about scanning. On Wednesday, I want to talk about like chapter 1 and 2, some of the certification test stuff. On Monday, we'll see how far people's gotten into this, getting their feeds and stuff. So it'll be a Zoom day. We'll probably spend about 30 minutes or something like that on Zoom, and then give y'all time to do test out for the rest of the day on Monday. But we'll all remote in and check on this. And then on Wednesday, I want to do some lecture, like I said, over the CIA triad, some of the stuff that y'all have covered in test out, and point out things for the certification exam that you'll need to know, and some tips.
Okay.
Alrighty, so I'm closing out, and we'll end the Zoom meeting.